I have my morning coffee and I have my phone where I have written down the songs on my new album because I want to, for a change, really indulge in the songs and not just, share them and just then move on. But I just want to really linger. I think it's because I have reached a point in my life where I'm out of survival mode, and I do know that the best place I can be is right here. I don't have to move on to something else. I can linger where I am, and it doesn't mean that I am stuck because I stay where I am. And especially when you've been used to always being ahead or trying to be ahead. And then you constantly tell yourself that this moment is not worth anything, or that there's something else waiting around the corner all the time. And you're constantly telling yourself that I don't have enough time. I am behind because I'm constantly ahead. Okay, anyways, I did write a few words, but this is just mostly to remember the songs like in the right order so that it makes sense. I am just doing as I normally do and just saying whatever comes into my mind. So the first song, De glemte minder, I wrote that song just behind the camera. I was sitting on the floor and I had just decided that I wanted to sit and jam a little bit. So I was sitting with my ukulele and it was a beautiful sunny day and there were a tablecloth hanging on my balcony just next to me. And because the sun was shining, the shadow came down onto the floor, onto the wooden floor, and it was dancing because of the wind. So it was, giving me this sort of art exhibition, this interactive art almost on my floor. And I was just sitting there and just playing, just plugging away on my ukulele and humming and doing what I normally do when I write songs, just doing something while looking at the floor and literally just I just started to literally just sing what I saw. Lyset det falder. The light is falling, or the light is... Trying again, my camera ran out of storage, so I just had to delete some. Where did I come from? The first song. Anyways, I started to sing what I saw. So I started to sing about the light dancing on the floor, or the shadows dancing on the floor. And I always have the same approach to songwriting, this intuitive approach of just coming into a flow and almost turning down my rational brain so I can just start to be very intuitive and creative and just sing something. Which also meant that I actually, in one of the verses, I think, I sing a word that does not exist. Which I only found out later on, like much later. I was like, that's not a word. I had just combined different words into one word. And then my rational brain starts to overwork and think, you can't do that. You can't just put a word into a song that doesn't exist. And so I actually changed it. And I recorded it with the right word, but But then I went back and did the original word, because I was like, there are no rules when it comes to songwriting. There are no rules. And so yeah, I've created a word, or I think it might be a Norwegian word, or a combination of Norwegian and Danish, I don't know, but this is what happens sometimes when the rational side is turned down and the creative brain can just start to come up with things. But it's actually also really, really fun and interesting. But this is just an example of how much the creative side of my brain was working, that I did not even realize that I was singing a word that didn't exist, and that it made it into the song. And yeah, as I said before, all my songs are created in this intuitive way, but this is one of the songs that came very, very, very easily. I think I made the whole song while I was just sitting there. So in like maybe 10 or 15 minutes or something, I wrote that song, because it just came so easily. And the thing is that when you already have a melody of a verse and a melody of a chorus, then it starts to flow more easily, because you have the main melody put down. So the only thing that you're gonna do is add more text and repeat the chorus, and then maybe add like a bridge or something. And what was the other thing I was thinking about? Yeah, but again, this is also what I'm talking about when I'm talking about songwriting and intuitive songwriting, which is associations, making associations. So as soon as I start to interact with what I'm seeing on my wooden floor, the light, the shadows, the dance of that light and shadow, I can start to imagine things. And the thing is, I don't have like internal visualization, so I don't even know how I actually do it, because I can't physically like see things inside my mind, but I can imagine that I see something, or I can imagine that I am somewhere and this and this and this is happening, and then I start to write about that. So as soon as I guess it's because you come into a mental state or an emotional state, or what you're writing about, what you're seeing is reminding you about something. So I started to, write about the ocean or something, and I think it's because I saw that wave of light and shadow from the tablecloth that was waving back and forth, and that kind of reminded me of waves maybe, or the ocean. And again, so you can start to build a story almost, and it doesn't even have to be because there is an actual story that you're telling a story, which I don't normally do, but again, it is sort of a story, even though it's not, you're not telling a story, but you're still telling a story, or telling a story about something that you're feeling, experiencing, seeing. Anyways, and I wanted that as the first song. I just instantly knew that I wanted that to be the first song on the album. The next song is one that is called Hun kom med lyset, and that is a song to all those women out there who are lights in this world, who have that ability to light up a room, and they don't necessarily know how they do it, but they just do. They are just a light, someone that, I have a woman like that in my life, so I know that feeling of witnessing a woman who has that light about her. That means that when you're around her, you feel it, and when she leaves, you still feel it. You still remember her energy, her light, and that is a song about that. And I love that song so much, because I love the chorus, and I did multiple versions of the chorus because it was a song where when I started to sing the chorus, like when I was freestyling, it kind of, I almost heard this very, I heard many syllables, but then my mind couldn't find that many syllables. My mind couldn't find that amount of words. So I was like, I was experimenting with different types of words, and then I don't even know if this is a word actually from the song, but what I'm singing is hun som sommerfuglevingeslaget. So sommerfuglevingeslaget, I don't know if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word, but that's like one word. Sommerfuglevingeslaget. It's 8 syllables. Hun som sommerfuglevingeslaget. I heard that rhythm of all those syllables. I knew I had that. I wanted that to be so, like so filled out. I wanted the words to be so filled out in the melody, if that makes sense. Hun som sommerfuglevingeslaget. And and I don't know, there's something about that melody that's just so uplifting, and it fits so well with the word sommerfuglevingeslaget. The butterfly, the basque of the butterfly wing is what I'm actually saying. Sommerfugle, that's butterfly. Vingeslaget is the basque of the wings. So there's like one word put together, which again, I don't know if it's a word, but it is now. And it's just a song that I really, really, really love. I love that chorus. I love that melody so much. It is so, I can't help but smile with like my eyes get really watery, really wet, because yeah, it's just so beautiful. The next song, Al den smerte du bærer, is I think the most kind of upbeat song on the album, and it's a little bit jazzy, which I very recently found out that I actually used to write quite a lot of jazzy style songs. And I think it's because I met someone who introduced me to the cinematic orchestra, and I just listened to their music like on repeat, and they have so many beautiful songs. And I think accidentally, or like without even realizing at that point in my life, which is like 13 years ago or something, I started writing many songs that was very similar in style, and with lots of like phrasings, I think it's called. Anyways, that's for another time. But this song is kind of reminding me of that time when I wrote many jazz style songs. And I don't remember writing this song, so I don't even remember when I wrote it. But it's just a song about, I guess, emotional abuse, mental abuse, the abuse that is not physical or visible even, but also a song about being someone who sees something others don't see. So there's a disconnect, and if you're close with someone and you realize that person is actually not aware of themselves or aware of their behavior, aware that they're being toxic, and also like it's also about, which is what I'm singing in the chorus, Al den smerte du bærer, kan du ikke, all the pain you carry, you can't bear to see outside of you. When I am myself, it pains the part of you who is not yet yourself, if that makes sense. So it is this experience of the fact that your authentic self is triggering these people, that the more you're yourself, the more authentic you are, the worse they treat you. So they want to keep you in a specific role that benefit them. So as soon as you break free and become yourself and start to listen to yourself and act accordingly, then they actually become more abusive and more shaming, because they want to try and keep you in that same position where they can control you. The next song, Find Vej, a song that I have written actually a long time ago. It was at the same time when I wrote my other Danish album, Mod Lys. And it's a song that I wrote it, and I could not listen to it, and I could not sing it for many years because it was too emotional for me. Because it's probably the most the most emotional and the most vulnerable song on this album, because it's about losing contact with my family, which is a vulnerable topic in itself. But it's also about this feeling of, as the song before, as seeing something that others don't see, or being aware and being close to people who are not aware. So there will always be this disconnect, there will always be this feeling of never really being seen or understood or loved, because you just see things differently. The next song, Ørkenland, is a song about my experiences with childhood neglect. It is a song where I'm trying to put into words how it feels to not have been loved, but instead of love, what was there was abuse and neglect. So I use this analogy of water, and how, love is like water. And when someone is abusing you, you don't know that the abuse is abuse. You think the abuse is love. So you allow it. You allow yourself to be abused, and you also don't have any choice as a child. And so when you think you're being watered with healthy, clean water, you're being watered with poison. You're being watered with water that is harming you, that is putting you into a position of submission and abandoning yourself. And I guess it was important for me to make this kind of story. This is a song that is very much like a story almost, because there's like a progress in each verse almost. So I'm like talking about this analogy of the water or the rain as being love/abuse, and also this feeling of finding a resolution, which I'm also singing about in the chorus. That I'm saying that now I have to learn to nourish myself with the water that comes from my own tears. So in that process of crying, in that process of grieving the love I never got, in that process of feeling that wound, I get to then love myself, because I'm becoming myself, and because I'm letting go of everything that I did not get, that I was supposed to get. The next song is Svæver gennem byen. That is probably the most happy song on the album, and it is just a cute little song, I feel like. But also it's not just cute, because there's also some other heavy things in it. But at the same time, the chorus is like I'm floating through the city on my bike, like the sun is setting, but there's also some like memories, some singing, like I'm singing about memories about someone, but at the same time, it's not. I don't feel like it's a heavy song, even though it has more vulnerable areas as well. But it's not like in a sad way. Yeah, so it's just I feel like it's just a happy song. And oh yeah, I wrote it. I wrote it actually right out here on a biking pathway from my apartment into the town center, and I think it was just because I was having one of those days where I felt very light, and then when I was biking, I just heard that sentence, svæver gennem byen, floating through the city, and I just really liked that. It's oftentimes that I I narrate myself. Maybe that's what. Yeah, I'm I'm like putting a soundtrack on my life, so I'm narrating what I'm doing or what I'm feeling, but then I use that to make a song. Yeah, it's also just a song about the small joys in life, where I also sing about stopping by the side of the road and smelling a rose and just being present with that sensation. The next song, Du er her. I wrote that song because I wanted a song that was a manifestation. It was a manifestation process of imagining that I already knew and had met the person that I wanted to meet. So yeah, it's a manifestation song, but it also came out to be a song about loving someone who is not physically here. So it could be, again, it could be in a manifestation way, loving someone, being in a relationship, friendship, whatever, with someone who is physically not here, but you're already imagining it as though they're here, so you can feel that they're here. But it could also be in terms of someone that you're, in a long distance relationship with, someone that you're maybe you're maybe just not seeing that person a lot, but you feel connected to them mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And it could also, of course, be about people who have passed, and so they're not physically here and you can't physically connect with them, but there's still an emotional, spiritual connection. The next one, Dag for Dag. It is a song about mistrust and about finding trust in that mistrust. Dag for Dag, day for day. So I am singing about taking it day for day by day. Because when you're in a state of mistrust, you can't really find trust by, you can't find trust in the mistrust. So you just need to, take it day by day and realize that trust will return naturally. You can't force yourself into that state of trust. Yeah. Fandt du dine vinger? I love this song. Fandt du dine vinger? I wrote that song in the laundry room. I love when I can actually remember when I wrote it, or not when, but how, like where or how. And I was in the tumble drying section of the laundry day. So I'd been washing my clothes and I was drying it, or maybe I was waiting for the dryer to finish or something, but I was in that area of the laundry room. And I had been recording something on my phone because, now I know, maybe I had been recording something, but then I started, no, I had not recorded something. I had that sentence, du faldt igennem sprækkerne, you fell through the cracks, and that came because I had translated another song from English to Danish, and so that sentence, that just stuck with me. You fell through the cracks. Du faldt gennem sprækkerne. And I had just kept that in my mind, maybe from earlier that day or the day before, whatever. But then I had that sentence in the laundry room, and I just started singing that. Du faldt igennem sprækkerne. And again, maybe because I get into a mental state, emotional state. So as soon as I started to sing that, more came. And the acoustics down there is really good. So there's a little bit of reverb. And so I was just singing and I was recording what I was singing. so I could remember it, of course. And I think I did different versions, so recording it, stopping it, and then, you know, folding some clothes, and then something came out, and then I recorded again. So it came like in like bits. So I had lots of recordings, and then later I had to just pick out what was working so I could find the exact verse and chorus. And it's also a song that's I feel like it's not a typical song, because there like 2 verses, and then there's a chorus, and then the chorus comes in again where it's different melody, and then there's another piece as well of the song which is different from the verse. So it is not like a conventional song. There's a little bit of, maybe it's also because it's a short song, so it feels unconventional, but maybe it's just because it's very short. Brændende Liv, the next song, is a song about seeing your own worth and feeling like others do not see it. I sing that you couldn't see the burning life, you couldn't see the heart that was being broken, even when you were the one breaking it. Which can also be, of course, about singing to someone else, asking someone, like saying to someone else, you couldn't see me, you couldn't see my light, even when my heart was breaking, and even when you were the one breaking it, you couldn't see the harm that you did to me. But it could also be, of course, that you are the one harming yourself, like breaking your own heart and not realizing how you're treating yourself. And it's also a song about the actually being guided by your own pain, because pain in many instances is a messenger, and it can guide you, it can lead you. The next song, Silke Velour, which is also the name of the album, I actually don't really know what the song is about. So maybe if you have heard it, if you have any associations, or if you start to think or feel something when you hear it, then it would be really fun to hear what you feel, what you hear. But it's a song that came because I said that line out loud in a random situation where I was just going through my day. I said, du silke, jeg velour. You are silk, I am velvet. I don't know where it came from or how it came to be, but I just really liked it. I was like, oh, there's something about this that sounds really good. I don't know what it means. I don't really know what it's about. And then at the same time, I can, of course, start to think, okay, it does actually make sense. And then I sing, you know, you are silk, I am velvet. You wave easily, and I crinkle. You wave easily, and I crinkle delicately. Like, there's this textural element suddenly. There are these sensations about 2 different fabrics. And I know why I actually started to think about that. That's because I found like an authentic carpet, a wool carpet, those with patterns, like these Middle Eastern, I think there are, or maybe they're Asian. Okay, I'm not sure, but there's this authentic pattern, authentic carpet of wool. And I read that you can tell if it's authentic because when you walk on it, you will feel as though you're walking on water. So you feel like you're like it's almost wavy under you. And I've had an inauthentic carpet that didn't do that, where it was just really like walking on a carpet. But that sensation, I had never noticed it, and maybe I had never paid attention to it, or maybe I'd never walked like barefoot on a carpet like that. But it was a very interesting sensation. I think that stuck with me in terms of that feeling of velvet that is waving, velvet that is waving, a carpet that is waving. Okay, so that's where that came from. And then that the sensation, the fact that I can imagine how it feels to touch velvet or to touch silk, and how that feels, and almost see it, even though I can't see it, but imagine that I see it waving in the wind or something, or crinkling. That then in turn starts some other associations that starts like the sensory experience starts to activate an emotional experience. So how that, you know, something that waves versus something that crinkles, yeah, it even now I'm like, okay, it could also be this, it could also be this, like it could be many things, but sometimes you don't know what it's about or why you write that. But I think it comes down to, I was trying to put into words the feeling of being connected to someone on a soul level, where it's not about, you know, use and be used, but about being your separate person, which I also write about in the beginning of the song, where I sing, som to træer med tunge grene, der bøjes, men aldrig knækkes helt. Vi hørte sammen side om side, men kunne ikke ved rod forenes. So, I'm translating it. Like two trees with heavy branches that bends but doesn't break. We belong together side by side, but couldn't connect by root. So there's also some, like, we are connected, but like we can't connect by root, but maybe that's also a good thing. And I think it's also, I also was reminded of a Danish poem that I still remember many years later, that was about something about two trees, which was an analogy of a partnership. So two trees that was growing, you know, side by side, instead of, you know, growing together and being codependent of each other. They are separate beings. Yeah. And now I think I don't have enough storage on my camera. Okay. My coffee is cold. Okay, there are actually so many songs. I didn't realize it was gonna take so long to go through them, but okay. Ensomhedens Tid, the next song, is basically just a song that I wrote in November, December. I had like decided, which is very rare, deciding to make a song about something. I've only done that, I think, a few times before, like deciding to write a Christmas song, deciding to write a love song, or when I decided to write a song about shame, called Shame, Skam. And this was another example of that, deciding to write a song about the loneliness and about all the people during Christmas time, or, you know, the holidays around December, who are, you know, not celebrating it conventionally, or they feel lonely, or they feel disconnected from the tradition, or, you know, I even write about people in prison. I write about people who have lost someone, like are in a grieving process, but all of these things that are heightened in that time, because that is a time that is traditionally or conventionally about, you know, getting together with family or doing things in a specific way. And then when you're outside of that, or if you feel like an outsider in society, then you also might feel like an outsider in that area. So it's a song about that and that loneliness. And I do something that I don't think I've ever done with the song, which is I speak directly to the listener in the end of the song, where I sing about, you know, if you feel alone, then I hope that... No, that's not what I'm singing. I'm singing that Hvis du hører denne sang, så vid at en anden kalder på dig. I sing to the listener. I sing, if you're listening to this song, I hope you know that there are others like you. Uden for mig, that is a song about my experiences with panic attacks. I talked about that in a short video here on YouTube about realizing that my experience with social phobia and other types of anxiety disorders, I always felt like the anxiety came from inside me, overwhelming me, whereas when I started getting panic attacks a few years back, it felt like something outside of me, almost like the air around me was toxic, like I was breathing toxic air and something came from outside of me, which meant that that's when I realized that I also need to look outside of me for a way to regulate my nervous system, either by feeling the wind or the sun physically on my skin, or holding hands with someone or hugging someone. That physical regulation, yeah. And I had felt the complete opposite with other types of anxiety disorders. It was like, don't get too close to me, like don't touch me. That's like gonna stress me out even more. So for that I had to go within myself and like find peace in my solitude. I think the other type of anxiety, panic attacks, is more like, now you need to connect to the world around you. You need to get a physical reminder that you're here or something. The next song, Du er det der bliver. That is a song I think about being connected on a soul level. And I also sing about the seasons. I always like singing about the seasons because it always correlates to life in general, and the changes in life and the ups and downs, and the death and rebirth. And that leads me to the next song, which is also quite similar in that it is a song about spring and that feeling of rebirth in spring, and also it's a song about losing hope, but also finding that hope again. So realizing that you've lost your hope, and you're finding it again when spring comes. And everything, I'm getting goosebumps. Can you see it? You can't see it, there's no focus. I don't know why I'm getting goosebumps suddenly. About spring and that rebirth during spring, and I love that part where I sing Eld opstår, genopstår, eld opstår, genopstår, eld opstår. Everything appears, and everything resurrects. Is that the word? But I love it. I love words, and I love how those two words, opstår, jeg opstår, genopstår, they're very similar, but they don't mean the same. But that's something that I really like in songwriting, when words sound similar, or there's some sort of flow to it. I can't explain it, but I like that, and I also like the melody that goes along with it. Actually, one of my, if I should pick, I'll wait for until the end to pick my top 3 songs on the album. It's gonna be difficult. The second last song, Hjem Igen, is a song about depression, and I wrote it when I was sitting on at my piano, I think, and looking out onto the sky and out onto the clouds, and I was starting to sing that thing about that's actually the beginning of the song. Jeg kan se over skyen, den far forbi mig, forbi mig. I was literally singing what I was seeing. I can see over the clouds. It rushes past me. Like I'm just singing what I'm seeing, and then I'm putting a melody on it. But then other things starts to come, and then I start to make those associations again, because then I start to think, oh, there's something about clouds, there's something about darkness, there's something about, you know, something that passes, and something about being able to see that there's, you know, light behind that dark cloud. But yeah, and also that thing about the clouds are passing again, or I'm singing that wherever the clouds go, they always find their way back, or something like that. And even though that does not make sense, because I don't know where that would be, like they always find their way back, like back to where, but that analogy is just, you know, again, talking about life and talking about the journey that you're on with yourself, finding your way back to yourself, no matter how cloudy and dark it gets. And then we have the very last song, Lille Lys, which I really love that song. I think it's very, very, very beautiful. I really, really love the melody. And this is a song that I cried when I wrote this song, because I thought it was so beautiful, and also very painful, because it's a song about being a light in the world and being treated as though you're not a light, being treated as though you are the opposite of that, being treated as someone who is dark and bad. And that pain of having to carry that, like that pain of seeing your own light and not seeing it reflected, but instead, you know, being met with that darkness, being met as though you're someone who's dark. That's the thing that's so painful and so hard to understand, that you can, if you're being mirrored with darkness, then it feels as though you're dark, that you're bad, you're wrong, because people can't mirror that light, until you start to realize that in order for them to mirror the light, they need to be that light themselves. And so that is something that for the past many years has been something that has occupied my awareness a lot. That feeling of seeing my own worth for the first time in my life. I think, yeah, it's the past 2 or 3 years, in my mid-30s, the first time I'm feeling like I'm worth something, that who I am is beautiful, and who I am is kind and valuable, which is not something I have felt for my entire life. And there's a pain in realizing that you have been met with so much harshness, so much coldness, so much darkness, and that you have believed that it must have been because something was wrong with you, that you were not good enough. Yeah, so it's a very simple song in the structure and the melody, and I repeat a lot of things, and a lot of the melody is repeated again and again. And I also make the chorus a little bit different lyric wise, and then I just make, you know, sing the same melody. But yeah, it's an emotional song for me, but also very beautiful. Why can't I translate that? Tænk at nogen, tænk at ville tænde flere lys, end der slukkes. I can't translate it. But what I'm actually just saying is that so many people are extinguishing extinguishing others' lights. So many people are turning down others' lights, and it is beautiful to be someone who lights, who turns on more lights that are being turned off, if that makes sense. Because it's easy to be someone who is harsh towards others, or easy to shut down others, or like be cold-hearted and harsh and rough and negative and judgmental, like that. We're so used to that. But to be someone who uplifts others, or someone who's kind to others, someone who sees the light in others and want to support that and uplift that, that is something that is very rare. And it is important to see that when someone does not mirror your light, it doesn't mean that you're not a light. It means that they're not in their light. But that's difficult to understand. And even if you do understand it, there's a lot of pain associated with having lived for years and years and years, decades, of being mirrored in this belief that you're not worth anything, that you don't have any value. Because that's, you learn that you don't have any value. That is the belief system that is instilled within you. So even if you are valuable, you learn that you're not valuable. And then you learn to believe that. So there's also a lot of pain associated with stepping into your worth, because the more you see your worth, the more you realize how little you have been seen in that worth. So there's always this contrast to it, which makes it, or can make it, painful to see your own worth, to love yourself, because you see how little you have been loved. That was ending on a very heavy note, but I did want to finish the album with that song, because it's very simple, but also there's something that's very, very clear about it. Like when I listen to it, when I hear it, it's very clear. It's very clear. And maybe it's also because I feel the message is very clear, or maybe it's just what I hear clear. There we have the words again. Hear and clear. Hear clear. When I hear words that sound alike, or like rhyme, then I also write it down or try and remember it, because then I can maybe use it for something. So I'll just write that down. Hear and clear. And then finally, if I were to pick my favorite songs, oh my god, this is gonna be so difficult. No. I think I would have picked another song at another time. I know I'm gonna pick Hjertet banker, because I just love that song so much. Hjertet banker. Okay, my top 3 songs. The first one is Hun kom med lyset. The second one is Fandt du dine vinger, and the third one is Hjertet banker. Those are my top 3 songs on the album. Okay, that was my track by track video, and if you listen to my album, which I hope you do, then I also hope that you will let me know which song is your favorite, or if you have a top 3, if that's easier. Yeah, and I hope you have a very, very lovely day.